We are live. Welcome to another episode of the Black Doctorates Matter podcast. My name is Pamela Felder Small. I am president and founder of Black Doctorates Matter. I happen to be a Black doctor myself. So I'm very excited about bringing in conversations from individuals who are doing amazing work in their disciplines. For this episode, we are having a conversation with Dr. Marie Lemy, a little background information about this particular conversation. Dr. Lemy is doing extraordinary work in human rights, and I have had the opportunity to work with her as a co lead for the International Civil Society Working Group for the United Nations Permanent Forum of People of African Descent. And we are going to talk a little bit about her work as well as ways that her research connects to human rights. So, Dr. Lemy, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. So, the first thing we're hoping to do is to share with our audience um, more about your background and how you became to be Dr. Marie Lemy. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you pursued your doctoral degree?
Okay, my name is Marie Lemy. As you mentioned, I was born in Haiti, but I grew up in the United States, in Brooklyn specifically. Um, I always knew that I was going to be working with people, and I love working with people and interacting with people. As to what I was very gifted in school, very bright, and my professors, the teachers, always like, okay, you got to do this, like go for this scholarship and that scholarship. Most of my friends in school as a child always liked me, would always come to seek comfort or advice.
Mm-hmm.
But I was vacillating as to what is it that I want to do. Do I want to go to law school? Do I want to go to medical school? But I knew I wasn't going to go to medical school because I don't like blood.
Mm-hmm.
So that was definitely out. Um, but I knew a terminal degree was it. It was going to be a terminal degree. That's why I was wrapped between MD, JD, and PhD wasn't really part of it in the beginning. Then, as I say, I was pretty blessed. So in a way, I graduated from school early, from high school and then college. And then I was offered like a teaching position with a BA when I got. So I started teaching, and I really liked the kindergarten. And as they say, if you ever want to know something, teach kindergarten. And I was learning, so much. Then a friend of mine was reading the New York Times, and then she's like, "Oh, do you know what is a Title VII fellow?" I'm like, "I don't know what a Title VII fellow is." Well, she said, "Well, there's a you are a Title VII fellow." Based on who I am, it was like an advertisement in the New York Times that some schools were like Columbia, NYU, Seton Hall, like a lot of the top schools were offering Title VII fellowship. Basically, a Title VII fellow is, you get the scholarship, but in return, you have to promise the government that you would do research that would support the community. That's something that is novel. They would never that they haven't had before. But she saw it, and then she said, "There's a number. Well, call the number and see what they say." So I called the number that was in Washington, and then the woman who answered the phone, she was like, "Yeah, I see you. They're describing you." But some of those spots have been filled because she saw it kind of late. But she was like, "Anyway, call this school, call this number, and tell them that you're interested, and tell them that I said that she was the referring person." And I also think because they know what was happening with them, they said I'd also apply for the fellowship kind of late. It's okay. I'm going back. It's not that so much that I was applying. It's like you had to have been selected already in the school. Once you're in the school, then apply for the fellowship. So that's the way it was supposed to have been. Like the school I was supposed to nominate you for the fellowship.
Yeah.
And she said, well, just call them and let them know, but you, because I didn't apply to attend their school. So I don't know, but just call. I call and I said, congratulations. Do you know you're going to get the Title VII fellowship? And I'm going to be your first student. But I was like, what? I said, yep. That's who I am. And he was like, how do you know? I said, well, I just spoke to so-and-so from the federal government, and they say it's going to happen, and that you should consider me as one of your students. And he was like, okay, that you know you missed the deadline. I said, I know. He said, well, can you put your application together? I said, okay. And I did it. And I did it, and then I got in. And that was that. So my research had to look at the impact of early separation on parent-child attachment. Mm-hmm. But by separation, what was so novel is the fact that I was looking at the impact of immigration separation, which is totally different than what's happening now. First, like the parents will come here, and then they will leave the children either with the grandparents or a family member or in boarding school. Like for me, I was left in boarding school, and then what happened once those children come back, and what is the process? So and I was like comparing them to children who were separated from their parents, from their biological parents, who are in foster care. Mm-hmm. Are there any similarity or differences? So that was that, and I did that research, and they thought that was so novel. They liked it, mm-hmm. And then I started working as a clinical psychologist, and then we started teaching. And I was also teaching. Now I went from the other end of the spectrum, teaching grad school or undergrad psychology, yeah. Which I also really like, and as well as doing some clinical work in the community. Yeah.
So your actual PhD, is it in clinical psychology?
Yes, it's in clinical psychology. Then I went for a postdoc in neuropsychology.
And your degrees are from?
Seton Hall University.
From Seton Hall. Wonderful, wonderful. So the Title VII Fellowship, I'm sure that's going to inform quite a few individuals who listen to the podcast as well.
I don't know if they still have that. I doubt if they will still have that.
Yeah, but I just think it's interesting the way that folks, make progress in their career pathways and how they sort of connect the dots between their educational experiences and their professional experiences. So the Title VII Fellowship, I think is interesting. And can you tell us a little bit about this connection that you have to human rights? Did it develop from some of this immigration separation work that you did with parent-child situations? How did that evolve for you?
How did that evolve? I really don't know, but as they say, things happen for a reason, and when it's supposed to happen, it's gonna happen. But what's happening, I was always engaged within the community. But then back like 3 years ago, I think 2019, 2020, when was a large pool of Haitian immigrants coming in to the Texas border. Mm-hmm. The Mexico-Texas border. If you remember that day, I think a lot of people woke up because they were back in 1719 or whatever, because mm-hmm. That's when the guys were with the horses and whipping the people. Mm-hmm. It was like what? It was like almost like a nightmare, a bad dream. Mm-hmm. So I remember when I went to work, and I work with quite a few adults, African American, and they were like, Dr. Lemy, I felt it. And not only were they verbalizing, there was also like a physical and a physiological reaction. They're actually doing the gesture. How they felt the whip on their back. And I was like, oh my gosh. So that evening, the Black psychologists, or I guess a lot of people were experiencing the same thing, because the Black psychologists said, well, something has to be done because it seems like the community is traumatized, right? Especially African American or traumatized. Like it's like they're the one who had the visceral reaction to it. from my perspective, more so than the Haitian population was like, what the heck are we going to do? We got to do something. This is embarrassing. They can't be treating us like that. It was more cognitive, whereas theirs were more visceral. And then people were calling each other. Then what happened is that the Black psychologist has what they call a Salbona circle. And then they, this following day, I guess that day, they had like a meeting. And then in that meeting, people were discussing their experiences, like how they felt, what was the reaction. And I was at the end, somebody asked, so what is it that we can do? And I jokingly said, well, why not just give therapy? Give therapy to everybody. Right? So, and I didn't mean to say it out loud.
Right.
So then I got a phone call, like one of my colleagues who was like one of the higher up of the administrative part of the Black Psychologist. Apparently the president called him and said, did you hear what there was a Dr. Lemy there, and she said, and she's of Haitian descent, she said to give therapies. Why don't you call her and see what she wants? And I said, yeah. And she was like, okay, we could get some money to do that. Can you do that? Do you have access to do that? I was like, huh? I didn't even have an agency or anything. But a friend of mine had an agency, and the voice was like, accept the offer, accept the offer. And then I accept the offer, and then right away I called my friend and I say, oh my gosh, I just did something. I hope you don't kill me. I know you have a community organization. I just got a phone call saying that they have some funding. They're going to get some funding to help the situation at the border. Are you willing to accept? She was like, accept. And then we'll go with it later on. And then, I don't know if you ever heard of them, the Black Family Summit, and that's an organization everybody should know.
Yes.
You've heard of them, right?
I have. I've seen flyers for their events. I think. Have you shared it with the group at all?
I probably have.
Yeah. I think I've seen it. I think you're one of the individuals who I remember posting some information about the summit.
Yeah, the Black Family Summit. What it is like, when Minister Farrakhan had his William Men March, and people say nothing ever came out of it. That's a big fat lie. Because what came out of it, all the Black professional organizations are under one umbrella. So that being said, that's why it's called the Black Family Summit. In that sense, in the event of emergency, they could just activate all the related professional association to do it. So that's how they were able to come up with the money so fast. And I also have a friend. What was so funny? I have a friend who works for NIH, was a psychiatrist researcher, and the Black psychiatrist also that same day was saying, "We're gonna get you some money. Do you want to do some work?" And we're like, "Okay." But if you notice, within 48 hours, everyone that was under the border was done. Because that's when Maxine Order and the Black Caucus came out, and they are also part of the Black Family Summit. So when they came out, everybody was done, and I was like, okay, so what are we gonna do with this money? And she was like, hold on to it, so we'll figure it out. So in the interim, what was happening? My friend, the one that I told you, who has this organization that I had called to see if she'd be willing to receive the money, she was trying to put up a conference. And trying to get that conference, she wanted me to reach out to one of a prominent person in the Haitian community. So I tried to reach out to her, but I couldn't get to her. But somebody told me, well, another person that you know might be able to help you. She's the former governor, or the first Black governor, which is a ceremonial role in Canada. So I was going to get her to be our keynote speaker. And then the woman who was supposed to be helping me, she got on Facebook crying and screaming. And I was like, what the heck happened to her? And she was crying because she was saying this is the third time she has been kidnapped while in Haiti. And she doesn't know what to do, and then she cannot get any mental health support, blah, blah, blah. And this person is one of the very affluent people within Haitian society. And I'm like, wait a minute, if you're having this problem, what happened to the other people?
Right.
So what's going on with them?
Yeah.
So that's when I went back to the Black Psychologist and I said, is it possible, since all the people that were supposed to provide services were all done, can we use that money to give services to the ones who in Haiti were suffering with no support? And they were like, try it. Let's try the same circle services in Haiti. Let's see if people will attend. Long and behold, people came.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did it, and that was that. So we ran out of funding, and that was also the very first time somebody we both know who was part of it, and she was so wonderful. And she was like, that's the first time they started getting paid for doing circle. Prior to that, they were just doing it on a volunteer basis, and she thought that was terrific. Then that was around August. Then ran out of funding. I didn't do anything around Christmas. That same person, I called her to wish her a happy holiday, and she said, Marie, did you know that the United Nations is starting this permanent forum thing that she's been to, and she thinks that's right up my alley.
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to get involved? And I told her, I don't know anything about it. I'm not into human rights or into politics. I'm just a clinician who does my little thing. And then when I got there, she said, just come to a meeting and see what happened. So when I got there, everybody was talking about Haiti, Haiti, Haiti. I'm like, well, everybody's talking about Haiti, well, the Haitian. And basically, I was so well, they can really get them to be engaged. And they were about to go to Geneva to do a summit, to do a forum. And they told me if I wanted to, I could speak. And I was like, I don't do public speaking. I don't do that kind of work. I'm a puppet master. I'm not, I stay back. I dream big. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to be in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go out there and do public speaking. And so, and they were discussing reparation. And I'm like, well, you guys could talk all the reparation that you need from my perspective, unless, from what I see from a clinical perspective, I'm not saying that hate is not all reparation, but also unless we are so traumatized, unless we take care of our own internal processes, all the money in the world will not resolve our issue.
Yeah.
And people was like, yeah, that is the definition of reparation as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was using the colloquial. As I said, that wasn't my world. I was going by the colloquial understanding of reparation. And then when I got there, they also say, well, and I say, anybody you speak to who's from the clinical world, they will tell you that the Haitian are traumatized, but I don't have any data to back it up. And so they asked if I want to get the data. I say yes. And they said, well, call the center, which is the International Center for Multi-Generational Trauma, who has done all the research on the people from the Holocaust, from Bosnia. Ask them if they want to work with you to help you get the research. And so when I called, they say yes. They've been more than happy. They've been dying to do it, but because they are non-African, every time they push it, people were like, that's not your territory. Let's be more culturally sensitive and allow the people to do their own work.
Yeah.
So that was that. And then since then, I found myself in a world that I didn't have the educational background for. And that's where I'm at.
Yes,
the rest is history.
Yes, and you continue to do amazing work, to include this event that is going to take place next month. Can you share with our audience a little bit about the Double Debt event in September?
Okay, so what happened, the reason I mentioned when I got there, everybody was like Haiti, Haiti, because those are people who are true Pan-Africanists and who really understand the history of the GBE, the Global Black Experience, and who understand and appreciate that Haiti is the flag bearer of freedom fighters. Not that we were the only one, but people like throughout the Caribbean, everybody was fighting for their emancipation, for their freedom. But in Haiti, happened to be the first one that actually got emancipated. And also, it was a true Pan-African Congress because that Bookman was from Jamaica, right? Oh yeah, we had people from Grenada, from St. Lucia, from all over the Caribbean to come. to Haiti to have that movement on August 17, 1791. What they call the Wakaima, that they just celebrate. And and I just found out in 1795 on August 17th, Curacao find out that the Haitian were free, and because France had a war with Holland, and and France won, so the people in Curacao say, well, then if that's the case, they should be emancipated as well. So all those interconnection that I did not know about. Right. But then what happened in Haiti? So the true revolution happened in 1791. It wasn't like until 13 years later, 1804, they actually signed the paperwork to make it legal. 1804. Then what happened then in 1825, 19 years later, I think it's like around 19 years later or so, then the French and their buddies, came back to the island, surrounded the island with 14 gunships, and demanded restitution for loss of property. And what do they consider property? The enslaved people on the island and some of the homes that they had left behind. So, and the main reason why French had done that because they were fighting everybody and they needed money. So then I think to negotiation, and that's where things become fluid. Whether or not it was like the Haitian who said, "Okay, I want you guys out of my hair. I'm going to give you the money. I'll pay you to get the heck out because I want my children to be free." In either case, it was like a coercion. If somebody has a gun in your head, you're going to give them whatever they want, especially if the gun is pointed at your child. So some people say, why didn't they fight back? Because they fought the first time and they won, but this time it wasn't going to be like an internal war. It was going to be outside. It was surrounded. So in 1825, they paid French the money. But then what happened, because it was a new country emerging and developing, they didn't have all that money to pay. So, and they had to borrow money from the French bank to pay with high interest. Okay, and then it became even harder back then in 1914. Then when the Americans came, they also overtook the debt. Yeah. And became another set of debt. So that's what happened. So and the whole thing is like, as I was saying, people are saying, well, why didn't they fight back? They should have fought back again, to make sure that the French would never come back. Sometimes it's easier said than done when you're not in the situation. And there are those who say the reason why the gentleman Boyer was in charge at the time did not fight back is because he wanted to more or less because he's biracial, like he was identifying more with his father, with his colonized father, like he wanted to placate the French, and so it's more. So the main reason, now that it has become so popular, like the 1825 indemnity that most people did not know about until 2021, when New York Times during COVID, I guess decided to do this three series expose of the whole situation, understanding as to why Haiti might be in the situation that it is because of all the money they had to pay and the whole thing. And after last year when we had gone to Geneva and the demand for reparation, and then the Human Rights Commissioner said he will support Haiti in their quest for reparation. So now it's in vogue, like within the Haitian community, everybody's a restitution expert. Yeah. So, when everybody's an expert, there's a lot of misinformation. So what I decided to do is to get some of the people that had done some more regional research, who has been looking at this thing for a long time within the Haitian scholar community of different backgrounds, whether it's from a sociological perspective, from economic perspective, psychological, history, anthropology, to get those guys who have done the research to come together to have a discussion, a scholarly discussion. Yes. On what happened. Yes. Just on what, and also what is the impact.
Yes, yes.
And then for them to come with their archival research that they had found to present it to people.
Yes.
And then also, I want it to be in Haitian Creole so that people will see, okay, here we are. They always say Creole, so it's a pidgin language. Nope, here we are using some technical term in the mother's tongue.
Yes. So the combination of the scholarly approach, but then also being able to strongly reflect the cultural relevance and the cultural importance of this discussion. So I want to just share a little.
And that's important. I want people to know it's all going to be simultaneously translated in French, English, most likely Spanish, and possibly Portuguese. So we're looking for funding for the possible Portuguese translation. And the reason why Portugal is important, once again, because Haiti is almost at the center of this reparation restitution debate.
Mhm.
And more Black people in the Americas speak Portuguese than they speak English because of Brazil. It's important also for them to get that information. And we also, since the earthquake, we have a large Haitian population living in Brazil. We want the younger generation to hear it for themselves.
Yes.
Even if not that day, they could go on YouTube and say, hey, this is all my people talking about.
Right.
It.
Very important. So that event is titled "Unveiling the Legacy: Scholarly Reflections on Haiti's Double Debt of 1825." That's scheduled for Monday, September 15th, from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and it's a virtual event. More information about that can be found at www.icmglt.org/webinars. And so we look forward to promoting this event with our supporters, and very happy to know that you're going to be sharing additional information, not only about the event, but all of the activity that will be that will occur after this important event. I know we don't have too much time left, because I know we talked in advance of this, and I know that we were going to keep this to a specific time. But I wanted to just.
Could I just add one thing to this indemnity 1825 indemnity?
Of course.
To show how it's relevant today. On September 11th, no, July 11th, right? Mm-hmm. Was the date that I forgot the exact date, but it was in July when final papers were signed between Haiti and France. Mm-hmm. And on that day, our brothers and sisters in South Africa had a webinar on that issue, on the 1825 indemnity. Mm-hmm. Why is it relevant to today? Why we have Brother Torre fighting France in 2022, 2023 to be free is because they use that model that they use in Haiti to create the currency for the West African countries. Mm. That their money that the West African made had to go to France, and then France decide how the money should be spent. Mm-hmm. So up until today, we still have some country in West Africa that is living that legacy. Mm-hmm. And from what I'm told, also the same thing happened in the English-speaking Caribbean. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. So that's why it's so relevant for us to understand it's not over. The struggle continues. Yes. So that's why we had to have people who have an economic background, to have sociological background, psychology, to understand why. Is it the reason why Haiti is still in the situation? That's the question that has to be debated. And what's important also, I have scholars of Haitian heritage from different corners of the world, from France, from Canada, from the United States, from Haiti, who's going to come together to discuss it, as well as the universities are coming, the university students, because we're doing this for them. Yes. For them to take the mentor and say, okay, you guys overlooked this little piece. Let me go do that research. Black Doctorates Matter. Yes.
Yes.
So they could have their question from that piece.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Lemy, for this important information. There's so much information here. And we will continue to keep our supporters updated on the work that you're doing. If folks want to reach out to you to get additional information, is there a website or an email address that you could share with our audience?
We don't have a website per se, but they could definitely just go to the Gmail the center's website and put any question. And also, if they have any idea, because this is the first of a long series of workshop. As I say, some of the universities now they want to partner with this concept to try to see if we get a curriculum going. So if you have any idea to see, okay, how do we link this? Right? The part in Curacao, I didn't even know about Curacao until a few weeks ago. And I was like, a lot of people didn't know. Some of those research, they're like, we didn't know that. I'm like, okay, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and then this is one of the reasons why, we wanted to do this interview with you because of the potential, right, for connecting with individuals who are interested in this work. So we will definitely get this podcast out there, and looking forward to hopefully following up with you and other scholars who you will be collaborating with on this event. We can talk more about this as we prepare for the new year and the work that we're doing for the International Civil Society Working Group and the United Nations Permanent Forum on African Descent. Well, Dr. Lemy, thank you so much for this important conversation. I am so appreciative of the time that you spent with us, and I look forward to sharing with our supporters more about your important work. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I hope to see everybody on September 15 at 1 o'clock on the Zoom.